Stakeholder segmentation is one of the key differentiators that Simpler Signals has over the competition. We've categorized well over 1 million Twitter accounts into several different stakeholder groups according to their role in the healthcare space. And doing so allows you to be able to segment these conversations in a manner that allows you to focus on just those groups that you're most interested in. Did you know that you can actually create your own custom stakeholder categories and assign them to Twitter handles? You can. Not only is there no limit to how many you can create, doing so can be quick, easy, and powerful. Let's imagine that you're working at a pharmaceutical company that's developing some new drugs that are focused on blood cancers. You've developed a list of 11 hematologist-oncologists who you feel are key opinion leaders in the online space around their medical specialty, including on Twitter. You now want to observe this specific group's interactions at several major conferences coming up, and are needing to easily distinguish them on the dashboards you've prepared for each event, starting with the American Society of Hematology's annual meeting in 2020. So let's create that dashboard. I'm going to click in my search bar here and put in the conference hashtag. That would be ASH20. I'll select that and then pick my date range. I like to put a few days before the start of the conference and then end it a few days after. So we'll go from the 1st of December to the 10th. Then I'll choose my Create button. When the dashboard opens, it will populate based on all the tweets during that date range that included the ASH20 hashtag. And note the summary numbers for the total tweets and users up at the top here. The first thing you want to do is find each of your 11 KOIs on the dashboard so you can add your custom stakeholder category to their profile. And you could do this one at a time, but you can also do it by including everybody all at once. A little bit more efficient. Here's how we do that. I'm going to come over to where I have my list of Twitter handles for those 11 KOIs. And I'm going to copy that list. Then I'm going to come back to my dashboard, and at the top here, I'm going to add a filter, specifically a username filter. Now, the username filter gives me a couple of options. This top option, if whatever usernames I put in there, will populate the dashboard with every tweet that they make and every tweet that they're mentioned in by somebody else. The second option, what usernames I put in here, will populate the dashboard with only their tweets and nobody else's. That's the option I'm going to take. So I'll paste my list there. Then I'll run the dashboard again. The username filter option that we selected is now limiting the dashboard to just consider tweets made by those 11 KOIs and nobody else. And if you look at the summary numbers now, you'll see that 10 of our KOIs were active at ASH, and collectively they had about 1.3 thousand tweets among them. Now let's scroll down to the influencer report to see who those individuals were. By default, the influencer widget is set to the simpler rank metric to measure influence. So because of the way that we've currently filtered this dashboard, only using tweets coming from our KOIs, this is a list of which parties were receiving the most significant engagement from them. However, we want to bring up a list of our KOIs specifically so we can see which of the 11 were active. So we're going to want to change our metric from simpler rank to tweets. And we'll do that by clicking on our gear icon where we'll find our options and settings. And we'll change it from the simpler rank metric to tweets. Now that the influencer widget automatically reloaded, we're looking at who was actively tweeting according to the criteria that we filtered for, and the results are in the order of who tweeted most. Note that everyone on our list except @newbiedoc was actively tweeting, and Reno Hemonk was the most prolific of them all. Now we're going to create our custom stakeholder category and attach it to the 10 people who showed up on our list. We can add newbiedoc later when we next see him on one of our dashboards. To categorize all 10 at once, we'll need to first change our view to table view, and we'll do that by selecting this grid icon in the upper right. Table view is available for each widget, and it will take the default graphical representation of the data and present it in a table format where you can see the raw data. On some widgets, table view has some special built-in functionality as well, and the influencer widget is one of those. Among other things, it will let us categorize everyone in just a few quick steps. Here's what we'll do. On the far left column, you notice these check boxes. This is where I can select which of the individuals showing up on this list I want to manipulate. I could click one at a time, but I'm just going to click this one on the top to check them all off at once. Next, I'm going to choose this drop-down box right here. And this is where all of our prepackaged, if you will, standard categories are. But I want to create my own, so I'm going to choose this button at the bottom here. And I'm going to give it a name. And then I'm going to give it a fancy color to make sure I can see it. And I'll choose Save. And you see when I choose Save, it adds it to the list. Now I'm going to select that. And up here, I'm going to choose Add Segment. And there we go. We just added our new stakeholder category to each of those individuals. And this change that we just made is for our account only. It's not going to go system-wide, but our teammates who share this account will have access to it. Now, note how the newly created HEMONC KOI label also shows up in the list of buttons at the top. It also has been added to your list of stakeholder categories to choose from in the future. Some browsers may require that the page be refreshed in order to see these new label changes. Now let's remove the username filter at the top of the dashboard to bring back all of our data. And let's see where our KOIs rank among the other influencers. We'll do that by just simply coming up here and clicking that little X next to the filter name. Then we'll rerun the dashboard. The first thing we're going to want to do is to reset our metric from tweets back to simpler rank. And note that this list is a top 100 list. We could actually make this larger or smaller, but we'll just leave it at 100. And on this list of stakeholder buttons, note that the HEMONC KOI button has the number 6 embedded in it. This means that of our 10 select KOIs, 6 are in the top 100 according to the simpler rank algorithm of influence. Let's take a look and see who those 6 are. I'll just click on the button. And here's my answer, with Mike right at the top. Now, we can filter any section of the dashboard to just focus on our KOIs, or we could actually filter the entire dashboard to just focus on their activity and impact. What's more, this new stakeholder group will appear in all of my other dashboards as well. And I can continue to add or subtract who has this label associated with them. Now, maybe over time, you create several of these custom categories, but you don't always want them to be appearing on dashboards. Let's take a look at how you can omit them selectively. On the very top of my dashboard, in the upper right, are my global settings. I'll choose that. And then I'll take this second option, Manage Stakeholder Labels. And right there I can see my HEMONC KOI. All I would need to do is uncheck it and rerun the dashboard. That will remove the label, but not the individual or the data behind it. Custom categories. Creating them adds a whole new dimension of power and possibility to the Simpler Signals platform.